Thank you so much, Kyoku. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. It's great to see everybody. Faces I hadn't seen in a while. Thanks for showing up, being here. Um, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about this talk. I was kind of dreading it, to be quite honest. And this is Louellen. I don't know if you guys can see her. There she is. She got in a little accident, which I might talk a little bit about last week. But yeah, so I was not looking forward to this talk. I mean, like at 10:30 last night, I still didn't really know exactly what I was going to talk about. Didn't have like source material, just read a bunch of stuff, and around 7:30 things kind of came together. So this will be a tentative talk, and we'll see kind of what happens. I had like several ideas, and originally when I signed up for this talk, I signed up for February 23rd, and things happened, and I wasn't able to do that. Thank you very much, Jan, for swapping with me. I was gonna, when I signed up for that talk was at the end of last year, and that was when I was going to leave Hokyoji. I had committed through March of 25, and this was going to kind of be my farewell ode to Hokyoji, ode to Team Zazen, which was KT and Bo, and yeah, talk a little bit about my experience there and about yeah, just my relationship to practice, which has gone through a lot of changes over the past several years, and this one being one of them. So, but yeah, like things happened, and I moved sooner than I had originally planned, and for reasons that were beyond my control, I could not do my February 23rd talk. I was going to go down to Jackson, Mississippi, and Georgia to see family, see friends, and not once but twice was thwarted by southern snowstorms, which was very, very interesting and odd. But so I guess I am in the place that I am supposed to be. So with that long preamble, I'm going to probably fail to succeed at a later date with this talk. So we'll see how it goes. To begin, I just want to read a couple of prose poems by Lewis Jenkins. And this is a wonderful book that was, I was introduced by KT, Kyoku, to this writer, and I just, yeah, I really appreciate what how he writes and how he does things. And let me see, I want to do, this is called Asleep at the Wheel. He falls asleep at the wheel and dreams that everything is the same. He is still driving at night through the long pine forest. Mile after mile glides through the automobile. He manages distances more easily now, so there is time to discern in the night forest a single tree, a stone, or a hidden path. These things seem as familiar and absorbing as a love affair or his own childhood. He sees for the first time that the forest extends not 50 or 100 miles, but infinitely on either side of the road, and that it is possible to wander there forever, alone, and not die. The car veers into the gravel at the edge of the blacktop. He wrenches the wheel back to the left. He is wide awake. The car is on the road, speeding toward the end of its headlight beams. This might be like this talk, Asleep at the Wheel. We'll see. And then Hill of Beans is the second poem I'd like to read from him. Um, as children, we were given inaccurate information. Things turned out to be much different than we were led to believe. Adults were not entirely to blame for this because most of them had no more idea what was going on than we did and found themselves bewildered at every turn, baffled by the impossible complexities of life. So instead of real insight, we were given aphorisms, gems such as, life is no bed of roses, or you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Of course, society has changed radically, even in my lifetime. Therefore, the rather agrarian quality of these sayings has caused them to lose some of their original impact. You aren't going to amount to a hill of beans, which to me suggests laziness, shiftlessness, failure, poverty, rambling discourse, idle speculation. I suspect that a hill of beans refers to the fact that beans are of little value even in large quantities, and also that they make very poor hills. Yet I can't help imagining a really important hill, a great Bunker Hill of beans, or a San Juan Hill of slippery pork and beans, up which a frustrated Teddy Roosevelt is trying to charge. I gotta say, I really like that one, but the Teddy Roosevelt reference goes over my head. I think that just might be a generational gap, but I really like this guy. I like to read his poems to kind of, I don't know, they're very plain and straightforward, but there's something, there's something there. There's some deep truths just in the way that normal things come to be, or just writing in a simple way. And I think that's really lovely. So, what to talk about? I'm still not entirely quite sure. I got some readings from Katagiri and from Dōzen, and I think the gist of like what I'm trying to get at from different angles is storytelling, and how that is intrinsic to human nature, but also it is the root of suffering. And I could be wrong on that. It could be a misinterpretation of what I'm reading, but it just seems that stories are important and they're not real. So I think where I want to start with that is talking a little bit about just the what's been happening as of late. So I'm going to see if I can share a little bit of my screen while I do this, because I've got some things to go along with it. Let's see here. Talk notes. This is the title of my talk. A gopher steps up to the plate. I am the gopher, and it is creates some questions for me. Like, is that really a gopher? And if so, how did that gopher learn to play baseball? How did it even learn to hold a bat? What is that gopher doing there? And why is the gopher a he? It's all a story that we tell ourselves, or that I'm creating. And so, what does that mean to me? So I decided to get a tattoo, another tattoo, here relatively recently. And it was kind of a, I don't know, I had some time. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get a tattoo. So I started looking around, and I found this design, this fish guy. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe I'll get that done today. So I called the dude, and he was like, well, I'm out of town, but I'll be back in a couple of weeks. If you still want to get it done, let's link up and let's do it then. So I said, okay, yeah, I guess I'm not in any hurry. And that was great because I had time to think about it. Think about this design. I'm partial to triangles. I really like that design. And fish, not so much. Fish didn't really stick out in my mind. I just kind of liked the design. But I had time to think about how a fish shows up in my life. And thinking about that, just kind of letting it settle, I came to Rumanji. And Rumanji is, let me stop this share, is the Dragon Gate Temple. Let's see here. I'll close that out. Okay. Rumanji is the Dragon Gate Temple. And we'll see what is talked about in the Dragon Gate Temple. And I will share that story with you. Again, this is going to be some words from Daishin McCabe, who is of the Nebraska Zen Center and Zen Fields in Iowa. And this is kind of where that starts. This is a talk called Dragon's Roar and Cane's Whoop, or Crane's Whoop, rather. So let me see if I can close that down. So he says, religious beliefs are many. Some people believe in heaven, others believe in reincarnation. Some believe there's only one God. Some believe in many gods, and others believe in no God at all. Some say we all need to accept Jesus to be saved. Others say it's through Buddha, still others Krishna. So which belief is the right one? If one is right, what about all the others? If they're all right, then what's the point in following any one of them? When people learn that I'm Buddhist, they invariably ask what Buddhists believe. Belief appears to be the cornerstone of anyone who follows something that goes under the category of religion. Is Buddha your God? How do you worship Buddha? What makes you Buddhist? Do you have to meditate to be Buddhist? If so, how often? These are all legitimate questions that beg for clarification. But will explanations be helpful? The answers to these questions don't touch what it means to be a practicing Buddhist as far as I understand it. The following Chinese phrase helps to explain why such questions are not adequate. And I don't read Chinese, I'm sorry, but this was by Oshan from 206 to 265 CE. I don't know who that is. It reads, Dragon's roar and crane's whoop. Isn't doing good a joy? Dragons are mythical beasts that have captured the imagination of all of us around the globe, whether courageous knights fighting them in battle or sages riding them. Dragons symbolize enlightenment, right speech, and the forces of nature, and in Zen circles, meditation is considered the true dragon. It's said that when a novice priest enters a monastery, she or he goes from being a fish, which is symbolic of an ordinary being, to a dragon, symbolic of an enlightened being. Zen Master Dogen refers to dragons in his universal instructions for meditation, the Fukan Zazengi, which he writes, do not doubt the true dragon. The true dragon is not a mythical creature, but our own body-mind, as it is unearthed through meditation. Contemplative practices dig up things buried deeply in our unconscious mind, some of which we'd rather remain hidden. Maybe, through practice, we learn to accept some side of ourselves we'd rather not become public. Dragons are not to be controlled or repressed. They are to be acknowledged in some way as symbols for a powerful force that animates us and the world. Dogen also compares Zazen to a dragon having entered water. The water is the place dragons reside, so to do Zazen is to come home completely to our natural resting place beyond location or time. When we are really in Zazen, we are not fooled by anyone. It's like being at home base. No one can tag you out. But this phrase, dragon's roar and crane's whoop, has a different nuance to it than the above meanings. Here the dragons and cranes are referring to the loud voices of others. Everyone has an opinion, and like little kids, we shout it out because we want others to listen to us. The dragon in this phrase is a symbol of a vociferous perspective on something. Others, like the crane, are more refined in their conduct and approach, but nonetheless still vie for attention. The dragons and cranes are like the many different religious beliefs that are out there, and their cacophony confuses and confounds us. Buddhists believe X, Christians believe Y, some other group believes Z. Which is the right one? Let's see. I'm going to skip down a little bit. The totality of this phrase, nothing is more enjoyable than doing good, frames the ethos of a Zen training monastery. But it can also guide any of us living in the world today. If you were to train at a Zen temple, the teachers would not care what you think. They want to know if you are able to drop your opinions, be aware of what's happening around you, and do your job. The Chinese phrase offers clear guidance on how to navigate through the murkiness of people's opinions, posts, and perspectives. The Zen teachers I've practiced with have consistently placed less concern on one's views of the world and have been much more concerned with how to actually live. All views are erroneous by nature, as they never represent the whole picture, and they can be argued over endlessly about who is right and who is wrong. We can go down a rabbit hole scrolling for hours through what people think, all the while forgetting what's really important or doing what we need to do to take care of our own life and responsibilities. The 3 pure precepts say what to do succinctly. Do nothing that is bad, do all that is good, and purify the mind. Who here has succeeded at this completely? Or maybe we get stuck in our past accomplishments, patting ourselves on the back too soon. Studying world religions and philosophy in college was like listening to a cacophony of voices. I walked away more confused than ever, not knowing what to do until I met my teacher. She didn't say a thing about what to believe. She gave me a practice to help settle and purify my mind, to do good, to refrain from bad, to stop doing drugs. So that's a little bit about, I think that's really beautifully written. The idea about training and views and setting all of that aside, I think touches on the aspect of the storytelling aspect of our minds not being all that important. And also how we live in the world is important. And in my mind, is there a choice there? And so I want to backtrack a little bit about a little bit and say something about the fish becoming dragons. And this is from the Record of Things Heard, Shobogenzo Zuimonki, Dogen's. These are recorded talks of his, so it's not his writings. One of his students actually wrote this. So who knows? Who knows if he actually went into all of this stuff? I'm sure scholars have their views. Who knows if he actually went into this stuff in this way, because this was not Dogen's writing. But as far as the Dragon Gate, and I'm going to read a little bit of the notes. So the Dragon Gate is actually not in the sea, but is a gorge through which the Yellow River passes at the border of Shenxi and Shanxi in China. It is traditionally said to have been cut by the legendary King Yu to save China from the flooding of the Yellow River. According to legend, on the 3rd day of the 3rd month, when the peach blossoms are in bloom, if a fish can get past the Dragon Gate, he will become a dragon. Those who cannot make it fall back and smash their heads. Sui Tu once composed this verse. In the river country, the spring wind doesn't blow. Deep within the flowers, partridges are calling. At the treble Dragon Gate, when the waves are high, fish become dragons. Yet fools still drag through the evening gutter water. And so this is coming from Dogen, supposedly. He said, in the sea there is a place known as the Dragon Gate, where huge waves repeatedly rise. When fish have passed through this place, they always become dragons. Therefore, it is called the Dragon Gate. Now it seems to me that the waves there are no different from any place else, and the water too is the same salt water. Nevertheless, it is an established miracle that when fish pass through there, they always become dragons. The scales of the fish do not change and their bodies remain the same. Yet suddenly they become dragons. The form for the patch-robed ones is also like this. Though the place is not different from others, once they have entered the monastery, they will definitely become Buddhas and patriarchs. And we can use the word ancestors. think that works better. They eat food and wear clothes like other people, though the relief from hunger and protection from the cold are the same. When they just shave off their hair, put on monk's garments, and eat gruel and vegetables for food, suddenly they become patch-robed ones. To become Buddhas and ancestors is not a matter of seeking afar. The question of entering or not entering a monastery is the same as the difference between passing or not passing through the Dragon Gate. Also, there is a proverbial saying, though I sell gold, there is none to buy. The way of Buddhas and ancestors is also like this. It is not that they begrudge the way, but although they are always offering it, people do not get it. Gaining the way does not depend upon sharpness or dullness of the faculties. Everyone can awaken to the truth. Depending upon zeal or sloth, there is slowness or quickness in attaining the way. The difference between zeal and sloth is whether one's determination is thoroughgoing or not. When one's determination is not thoroughgoing, it is because he does not contemplate impermanence. We die from moment to moment, ultimately not abiding even for a while. As long as you are alive for the time being, do not pass the time in vain. And we've heard something very similar like that from Dogen in the Fukanza Zengi. An ancient saying has it, the rat in the storehouse hungers for food. The ox pulling the plow in the field hasn't his fill of grass. What this means is that one is hungry though in the midst of food. One lacks for grass while being in the middle of grass. People are also like this. Though they are in the midst of the Buddha way, they do not merge with the way. If the mind which seeks fame and profit does not come to rest, one will be ill at ease all his life long. So why the hell am I talking about dragons and fish? Well, a little personal thing about me, which some of you probably know already, maybe if anyone views this in the future, maybe they don't know. I recently have put away my robes and grown out my hair and don't practice as a priest. And my relationship to a formal Soto Zen, I'm still figuring that out. I don't know what that is. I put a fish on my body as I'm not passing through that gate. I will be a fish. I will not become a dragon. I don't know what, I still am trying to figure out the story in my mind, in my karma about what happened there, like how this came to be. And that's what I'm trying to get at. What is storytelling? And the story that I tell myself is going to be important for my future, and also it's not important at all. You know, it's a fiction. And so that brought me to some talks that we studied in a practice period not too long ago from Katagiri. And these are all on karma. And this one in particular from 1980 is called Unmanifested Karma. And it goes way over my head and it gets in the weeds. So I'm going to try to kind of piece together some of it. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for humoring me. So in Kikon Michael Howard's summary, which he is the one that transcribed all of this, and Kikon is great. He's actually, I think, gave a talk last week here at Hokyoji. Check that out. His whole project, I can't remember what it's called. Can anyone help me out on that? It's on the internet. He's transcribed just a whole lot of Katagiri's talks from the 80s. And you can find that through MZMC's website, I believe. But in his summary of this talk is called, Unmanifested Karma. Katagiri Roshi explains unmanifested karma and why we need to understand it. Unmanifested karma is the reason why we have to take responsibility for our individual behavior. because it is like an impression left behind by our actions, as opposed to manifested karma, which appears in one moment and disappears in the next. In terms of the 12-linked chain of causation, unmanifested karma is samskara. Despite its role in morality, unmanifested karma itself is completely neutral in nature. It is not original sin. If you get a taste of this karma, then you can turn over a new leaf, because karma is nothing but energy. It is the wellspring of creative vitality. Karma is nothing but energy, and it is the wellspring of creative vitality. That's still something that I'm sitting with. It's like that the wellspring of creative vitality, out beside it, I have, is the storytelling energy. And while I was sitting Zazen a little bit earlier, it was one of those occasions where I kind of finally found some rest. I was sitting in a lot of anxiety because I'm about to give a talk and trying to pay attention to my breath. And there was a moment of clarity, and I pieced together the synthesis of this talk, and now it's gone. So we'll see if it comes back up. But that karma is nothing but energy, and it's the wellspring of creative vitality. That feels really important. So Katagiri begins with, this morning I would like to talk about karma, which is one's individual karma, and simultaneously it is not individual. It is completely beyond our individual control. This is also an aspect of karma. Within karma, we can realize a very contradictory situation. Karma is always within individual life. There is no other way we can take responsibility for our actions or our individual life. On the other hand, karma is completely beyond individual control. Regardless of whether you like or dislike it, regardless of whether you control it or not, or regardless of whether it is something created by somebody else, or whatever it is completely beyond your control. But as long as it is within you, it is something you have to take responsibility for. So that is very contradictory. That is also a very important point. We have to understand karma and how we should be free from karma, but it takes time. It really takes time. If you study Buddhism, you will understand this very well. So I'm going to skip around a little bit. I told you yesterday the quality of karma as samskara is avidya, or ignorance. Ignorance is a state that one is doomed not to know the truth as it is exactly, although one is always present in it. We are constantly present in the truth, but we are doomed not to know it exactly. This is what is called avidya, affliction or pain. It's really pain, don't you think so? You are doing Zazen, but you don't know what Zazen is. If you cannot pin down what Zazen is, it's pretty painful, isn't it? If I say, I am Katagiri, I know who I am, but how much do I know? Just a speck of dust. Or, I have lived almost 52 years. Or not almost, exactly. So 52 years, that is my life. If I say that is my life, already it seems that I know what the life is. But how much do I know? It's life, I don't know. But I am already right in the middle of that life, even though I don't know. That is really pain, don't you think? That is really the basic nature of human life, which is called avidya. Avidya is not karma, but it is the quality of karma. In other words, it supports karma, it preserves karma. So it's really pain, affliction. In Sanskrit, avidya is klesha. Klesha is not exactly ignorance, but we say klesha is a pain or affliction, suffering. So avidya is the very basic nature of pain or affliction or suffering. That's why Buddha says life is characterized by suffering. We are right in the middle of the truth, but we don't know. We are really doomed not to know. We are not trying to ignore it. We want to know, but we don't. We are doomed. That is really by avidya or ignorance. So the quality of karma is ignorance. When you talk about karma as samskara, remember this point. The quality of karma is ignorance. And then he talks about the 12-fold chain, which is over my head, so I won't touch on that. But just a couple of more points in here. From this point, karma is exactly within us and simultaneously not ours. It means that we are completely powerless before karma. Karma is really the source of individual life, but that is not the inside. That is not the outside. How can I know it? This is the whole body and mind. That's why, according to 12-fold causation, it's really connected with consciousness, name and form, 6 consciousnesses, contact, feeling, craving, grasping, existence. This is the whole body and mind. That means karma is directly, closely related to the human body, the human world. Strictly speaking, karma is the basis of human life, but we don't know how to know it. So that is really the human body. So through this human body and mind, we have to know what karma is, what the basis of human existence is. There is really no other better way. There is no other way than just to meditate, do Zazen, and then you can understand this. That calls to mind, I can't recall what it is. Dogen, one of his fascicles is called Learning the Truth with Body and Mind, and it's like putting all of it just onto the cushion. And I don't remember what that's called. But this unmanifested karma is not something weak or strong. It's not some kind of sin. It's not original sin. It's not some original weakness or some original strength. I think that's a very important point. This unmanifested karma is characterized by what in Buddhism is called neutral nature. Perfectly neutral nature. There is no way to put a certain label on this unmanifested karma, which is called good or bad, right or wrong. It is completely beyond the moral sense. If we have carried this unmanifested karma from the beginningless past, then everybody has carried unmanifested karma from the beginningless past in that way. That is what is called human being. That is what is called this table, etc., etc. If it is true, why is it that we have different karma? You are different from me. You are American, I am Japanese. Why is that we have to have a different type of karma? This is a big question. How is it we create a different world? In Buddhism, we say interdependent co-origination. This is also a very important teaching for us. If you don't understand this, pay careful attention to your reality, your life, every day. Very naturally, you will understand. What is existence? Existence is a form of being created by countless number of elements. It is not created by some particular person or being or other beings. In Buddhism, existence is that which is produced by countless number of elemental conditions. Yeah, I think I'm going to read this part. I think I got time. Yeah, 10:05. I told you before a little bit about smoking cigarettes. Forget it. You understand that. But the first question is, why is it I started to smoke? I don't know. I have a reason. Because I wanted to help my father. But this is my reason. I try to justify my life. Why do you smoke? Because I want to help my father. But this is nothing but justifying my life. See more deeply. Why? Well, finally, I can say, maybe I've smoked since the beginningless past, because I've done it in that way for many, many years, and then I started to smoke. Maybe so. So he's talking about causes and conditions coming together from the beginningless past. It's almost like there's, reminds me, that little phrase reminds me of what is it? Time is a flat circle. Like we just keep repeating the same things over and over again, keep walking in the same way. Anyway, for instance, why do you have breakfast? Why do you have to go to sleep? Do you know why? Of course, you can explain. But that explanation is just an intellectual explanation, biologically, whatever it is. Strictly speaking, see more deeply. Why? Finally, you can say, well, I have a custom of sleeping at night for many, many years. If you say, no, you should work at night, of course, maybe you can work at night. One of my friends always worked at night from 11 to 7, so he was very accustomed to being awake all night. But still, he had a problem. Of course, you can sleep in the daytime, but that sleeping is not exactly the same as sleeping at night. So still exhaustion is there, a different feeling is there. Anyway, that's why finally we have a custom like this. We have a habit. We have had a habit in that way for many, many years. That's why we have breakfast or why we sleep at night. So this is all very natural. Finally, you can say so. That seems to me that he's talking about beginningless past, like evolutionarily, we are diurnal animals, isn't that right? Like we sleep in the at night and we wake up during the day. So that's not like a life thing. He's talking about this karma that follows us through generations. And I'd like to read a poem about habits. This is from Jane Hirschfield. Thank you, Carl, for introducing me to Jane Hirschfield. Here. This is called Habit. The shoes put on each time, left first, then right. The morning potion's teaspoon of sweetness stirred always for 7 circlings, no fewer, no more, into the cracked blue cup. Touching the pocket for wallet, for keys, before closing the door. How did we come to believe these small rituals promise that we are today the selves we yesterday knew, tomorrow will be? How intimate and unthinking, the way the toothbrush is shaken dry after use, the part we wash first in the bath. Which habits we learn from others and which are ours alone we may never know. Unbearable to acknowledge how much they are themselves our fated life. Open the traveling suitcase. There the beloved red sweater, bright tangle of necklace, earrings of amber, each confirming I chose these, I. But habit is different. It chooses. And we, its good horse, opening our mouths at even the sight of the bit. And that leads us into one of my favorite poems by her. It's called Rebus. You work with what you are given, the red clay of grief, the black clay of stubbornness going on after, clay that tastes of care or carelessness, clay that smells of the bottoms of rivers or dust. Each thought is a life you have lived or failed to live. Each word is a dish you have eaten or left on the table. There are honeys so bitter no one would willingly choose to take them. The clay takes them, honey of weariness, honey of vanity, honey of cruelty, fear. This rebus, slip and stubbornness, bottom of river, my own consumed life. When will I learn to read it plainly, slowly, uncolored by hope or desire? Not to understand it, only to see. As water given sugar sweetens, given salt grows salty, we become our choices. Each yes, each no continues. This one a ladder, that one an anvil or a cup. The ladder leans into its darkness. The anvil leans into its silence. The cup sits empty. How can I enter this question, the clay has asked. Yeah, so there's a lot more questions. there's no answers. And I don't really have any closing comments on that. Like At first, I thought that this unmanifested karma that he was talking about, oh, that's a laya vijnana, which in Yogacara is like the storehouse consciousness. It's neither positive or negative, it's neutral. It's just like the pot that you make a broth out of. And the broth is the different aspects of being in karma. But I don't think that's what he's talking about. It could be a broader idea of the unconscious, but it seems much bigger than that. So I don't know. I welcome anyone's comments about anything. I think that this stuff is extremely interesting, and I think somewhere I remember in that practice period, and somewhere in here, also he says like you'll never figure it out. You'll never figure out karma. So don't try. And that's equally frustrating and relieving to me. So thank you for humoring me, for listening, and I would love to hear from you.
So let's be brave. This always happens. We end, the speaker stops and everybody's like, now what?
Oh, I have something. I'm going to share my screen again real quick. Let's see. All right, there's Fishman, and here's Lou. This was the story I was going to tell, but she jumped out of my moving vehicle, getting ready to go to the dog park. And I was like, Lou, what are you doing? You're crazy. But that's just dog nature, right? Storytelling is human nature. How can we expect differently? So I wanted to show that cute little picture. And also, I wanted to read this. A Cold Rain. And this is from the Economy Press. They put out these beautiful, simple, straightforward pressings of poets and writers. And this is from Basho, the wonderful haiku poet. A cold rain starting. A cold rain starting and no hat. So that's what I got.
Shujin, would you unmute yourself?
Thank you. I just wanted to say I think I appreciated your reading part of Daishin's talk. I really struggle with, it's kind of the same thing. Like I live in the southeastern US, and so if people find out that I'm Buddhist, it's like the primary focus becomes like, well, exactly that. It's like, what do Buddhists believe? What is this? What do you what is your doctrine? And I think it's interesting because I think I came to Buddhism maybe because just belief in and of itself as the be all and end all wasn't really working for me. And that I still don't have a great answer for them, but I'm trying. Maybe I'll get it right someday.
Yeah, I think Nishijima talks about belief being the root cause, or one of the root causes that gets us in trouble, and that's one of the things that really drew me to not Buddhism, but the practice of Zazen. Is like I didn't have to believe anything. I didn't really have to accept anything. I just had to do something, and that was yeah. I'm still doing that, and part of what I wanted to talk about was like taking 6 months off of my daily practice. I'd practice Zazen, once or twice a week. And my main practice became Qigong and like concentration meditation. And that was extremely valuable at that time. Because sometimes Zazen is just too much. There was a lot of static, or sometimes I would just like weep for 20 minutes or bawl for 10 or 15 minutes. And yeah, sometimes that was way too much. But I'm back. That it's a habit. And it's I'm still doing it. So thank you for your comments.
So I think it's nice to hear you struggle, because I think we all struggle. And so a lot of the Zen practice is about learning how to struggle and how not to struggle. So I think this is important. So I also like to talk about being a Buddhist in the real world and people. I've always hesitated. There was a long period when I was kind of a refugee from Buddhism, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I didn't want anybody to know that I was a Buddhist at heart. And then I worked at a place where there were people that had pictures of Buddha in their office, and I didn't want to let them know, because I think they were in the chanting sect of Buddhism, and I didn't want to get into the whole thing back and forth. Plus, I didn't want people to look at me as a model for what a Buddhist is. But where I volunteer now at Open Arms, there are a number of people who are Buddhists, and there are other people who actually go on silent retreats, which seems to be the greatest misunderstanding, or the things that other people cannot understand whatsoever, is why you would go off on a silent retreat. It just doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. They just don't get it. And I'm not going to try to explain it. It's just not going to happen. So I think the idea of unmanifested karma being a source of energy, I have tried to figure that out, and I think what it has to do with the struggle that we want things to be a certain way and they aren't that way. So that actually gives us energy to pursue either making it that way or learning to live with things as they are. But it's also the energy that comes up as we see that is the case, as we sit quietly. So I thought it was a wonderful talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. Can you say that again? Please.
Say what again?
Those last two sentences, I think.
Unmanifested karma. Yeah. And what your understanding of it is.
So we're all so different from each other. And so the fact that we can communicate at all is kind of unreasonable. But I think the unmanifested karma as a source of energy is because we realize we want things to be different than they are. And when we realize things are different than the way we want them to be, that brings up energy of either of trying to make them as best we can, or reconciling them, that we can't change things that way. It's a lot to do with seeing things as they are. And seeing things as they are, we notice that they're not the way we want them to be. And that is a source of energy. That's my current understanding.
Oh, thank you. It sound what I'm hearing is like is adjacent to like bodhicitta, like the will towards the truth. Kind of that same energy. Is that what does that sound like to you?
Yeah, the bodhicitta is this you want to awaken to the yeah, to something that's, you want to awaken to something that's stable, and then you find out that there's nothing that's stable. The closer you get to it, the more it slips away, just like a fish.
I like that. Yeah.
I think the struggle is why fish become dragons. The training is fish becoming dragons. So if you've ever been up north and like Cascade River, there's a number of waterfalls that are like, some are 20 feet tall, some are just, in the spring, there's just this torrent of water coming down, and fish are swimming up the waterfalls. It's unbelievable. So to mate, this is a fish world, but it's like, I don't understand how those fish can swim up flowing water, but they do. That's a fish becoming a dragon in a way. That's kind of what we do. We're fish swimming up against a incredible waterfall of karma. So that's enough confusion from me.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Goes in your poem about the cold rain and no hat kind of struck me. Some of you know I'm down here in Colombia traveling around, and I have to tell you, this is my hat. And I don't go anywhere without this hat down here. Some of you also know I have had skin cancer now on my face, 2 operations to remove it. But the other day, there was the one thing that's different. It's not a cold rain. It's pretty, the water's pretty rain, but it comes out of nowhere, these storms. So I always have to have my hat and my umbrella. But sometimes it doesn't make any difference. So I have to go, well, now what? So I'm here, and it's just impossible to go. I've gone to a store, okay, there's a downpour. Okay, what do I do now? Anyway, but Yushin, one of your comments struck me about being out of control or not having control. And when I this is an intellectual idea, but I think I do choose to travel to actually experience not being in control. We get out of our own set of circumstances, and we try, I try very hard to set up the whole trip so it's going to be okay from the beginning. But the beginning of my trip, I keep journal when I'm traveling, and I recorded 27 things that did not go according to plan. And that was just in the first day and a half. And Some of them were small things, but some of them were not small. And sometimes that's okay, unless and one of the things is if it's okay if one of the things is not that I'm not sleeping, okay. But one of those things was I was not getting enough sleep. And then the whole situation just changes into chaos in my mind. And that's hard to deal with. But it also makes me think it's just like a period of zazen. Like I don't have any control. In my journal, maybe there was 27 things that were out of control, but in a period of zazen, there's 108,000 things that are not under control. So it's just working with this this unmanifested karma that's coming out of our lives. And at once you said, in speaking about it, you said, I think it's much broader than what I think. And I reacted against it, and I thought, no, it's really narrow. It's just like so narrow, coming down to just this very moment we're living in. And after that, I thought, actually, it's not broad or narrow. It's just something we don't have any understanding about that's arising every moment that we're alive, whether we realize it or we don't. And the point of doing Zazen is just to get a little bit in touch with, we really don't know what's going on. And we have to sort of just be okay with that. And the more we understand that, I think probably the less stress we're going to feel. And essentially, maybe even the happier we're going to feel. So that's about it for me for today. Thank you.
I'm going to say the same thing in maybe a different way, maybe just a dumber way. But I, as you were reading all of this, I thought it's like the whole idea is go for it, which gets you to I'm not getting anywhere. And to continue going for it is it's how I find out my whole idea of going for it and not getting anywhere are at the very least incomplete. And yet there's aliveness there. You're right in the middle of aliveness. So it just doesn't work at all the way we think it does, which is exactly what Doka is saying. And that's the process of being whatever it is, which is just an idea of what's happening. And to be able to both energetically go for it and let it go because that's what's happening, that is a seemingly impossible discipline. And yet that's just one stop on the way of discovering this. So that's my shot at trying to use words to describe something that's indescribable from my standpoint. Thank you. I think that it's been fun and energizing. But this moment too will pass. So next Sunday, Shodo's Spring will talk to us. She'll be our speaker. We have some things coming up in the coming month, which include a couple of retreats that we're not sponsoring. One by Master Hong called a healing retreat, and Mark Anderson, who has his own group of followers. But the most important thing is Caring for the Land Weekend, which is 4 days long. It's one of the most popular activities at Hokyoji, which sounds like it couldn't possibly be true, but it's wonderful. So I encourage you to come down, especially if you're daunted by the idea of meditating for long times and being bored and things like that. That can happen, but usually it's a very enlivening experience, and it's very necessary and helpful. And then in May, we have the Women's Retreat, which I'm going to get to lead with somebody the usual Hokyoji crowd hasn't necessarily seen a lot. Toku Cynthia, who's got her own practice. She's been practicing for a long time and is one of my favorite teachers. That's happening in May. Let's see. We also have a study of the Genjo Koan going on. We're kind of in the middle of it, led by Onryu GD. And I think it's possible to join in on that. That's a group discussion, really, of the Genjo Koan. So if you want to just taste something, that's another way to go. And of course, there's more Sunday talks and morning zazen from Wednesday through Saturday. So please enjoy your week to the best of your ability, and may you return if you'd like to help us out so that this place continues to thrive. It's easy to do by going to our website, and there'll be a place to click that says, yeah, I want to give money. All right. Now, just to make sure that I haven't lost my touch, let's do the 4 vows of Buddhism. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. It occurs to me that nobody here except Laura and I are women, but the Women's Retreat is a delightful event, so pass on that recommendation to women that you know and love.
It'll be for posterity, too. Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Sunday.
Okay.
Or
Bye.
the best simile.